and I'm not saying, hey, don't do this or don't think like this in your life, but what needs to be said is exactly what you're saying is, kids, if you're ever going to think about this, you need to know what's going on inside your body first before you ever get started. Yep. So you know what's going on, you know what you're coming into, right? And then if you're ever going to consider to keep doing it moving forward, you have to, like even you did this, best bodybuilder of all time. What, 3 times a year you got your blood work done? Yeah. And like that's the thing, like people sometimes maybe they're afraid to do it or they just don't know to do it. But it's one of the most important things to do is to know what's going on inside your body, specifically in this case, if we're putting something inside our body. Yep. And I just want that to be said because I know some kids might watch this, and I know like a lot of kids are actively like almost joking about this shit on the internet. Yeah. And it needs to be said because there's very serious consequences as we're seeing.
Very serious, yeah, especially when you start dying. And this sport is not worth dying for. No. Not at all. Because I remember back in 2001, I'll never forget it like it was yesterday. I woke up the morning of Olympia, and I felt awful. Yeah. I was totally dehydrated. You know, you have to be kind of a little bit dehydrated to get up there on stage. But this morning, I felt awful. I felt real bad. I was to the point where I felt like I was kind of dying. Yeah. And it scared the living hell out of me. I called my nutritionist. I said, hey, dude, I feel awful. Forget this show. I'm going to the hospital. I'm not going to die for this sport. I'm going to the hospital.
What were you feeling? Like your heart? What were you feeling?
Exhausted.
Like to a crazy level.
I was so tired, I could barely get out of bed. Oh. And I'm like, no, this ain't the way I'm supposed to feel. You know, I've won, 4 or 5 times already, and I've never felt like this. So I just called him and I like, hey, forget this show. Yeah. I want to live. I was severely dehydrated.
You could have died.
If I hadn't drank that water, yeah.
Fuck. That's so crazy.
I wasn't gonna let that happen. I was going to. I was literally going to the hospital. I told my hey, let's go. Yeah. Like, let me call Chad first and tell him what I'm doing before I go. And I called him and said, hey, I'm on my way to the hospital. I feel awful. Something ain't right. Yeah. You know, I'm not supposed to feel this way. And I was almost out the door.